PlayStation is officially just giving up on their old games. It feels like they don't actually care about their retro franchises, the stuff that made them popular in the first place. For the most part, they've kind of just ignored it. And even more recent games that have become incredibly popular, like Bloodborne, they don't even acknowledge it. A couple days ago, literally a couple days ago, was the 10th anniversary of Bloodborne, which seems like one of the most popular PlayStation 4 games ever. It didn't even get a tweet. But I wanted to talk about this today because yesterday there was a Nintendo Direct. A lot of people hated it. The main conversation is worst final Nintendo Direct, but I had a pretty good time. Yeah, a lot of the games sucked, but it had Metroid, so I was happy with it. But there was something exceptionally strange. New PlayStation games from PlayStation Studios, but not made by PlayStation and not exclusive to the PS5. But let's talk about it because I think that Sony is starting to change their strategy with AA. They only want to have the biggest, craziest, flashiest games, but for their classic series, their classic IP, I think they're going to let other people kind of just do their best with it. Let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So, here are the two games they revealed yesterday that, I mean, everybody is so confused by, but it's now been 24 hours, and they're releasing these completely new logos. If you grew up playing Hot Shots Golf, on the PlayStation 1 especially, I've put so many hours into Hot Shots Golf, they brought it back. We're getting a completely new Hot Shots Golf. Now, in Japan, it's always been called Everybody's Golf. They combined it. So now the complete name is going to be Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. But Patapon, I am obsessed with Patapon because I'm a big PSP fanatic. They're bringing them back. They're doing a remastered coupled collection with new features. These have been remastered on PlayStation 4, but now they've actually fixed some of the glitches to timing and stuff that very essential rhythm game. But people are like, bro, seeing these two logos in an official Nintendo Switch graphic is still surreal. What a time to be alive. This is an official tweet by Nintendo, basically advertising some great upcoming PlayStation games. But people are already beginning to say, okay, so it seems like what's happening is Bandai Namco has secured the rights. Now, Bandai Namco has actually been doing other stuff with PlayStation, but they already have commercials ready. They already have advertising. They already have a big media blitz going on for these games. It's so cool to see Patapon coming back. God, I love Patapon. Bandai Namco is already putting more effort into preserving and marketing PlayStation classics than Sony themselves has done in the last 15 years. I'm sick to my stomach. Now, I think this person's being hyperbolic to be silly. They have championed some classics. We did have the medieval remake in Shadows of Colossus, but definitely for easily the last 8 or 9 years, Sony has been dead silent about their classics other than drip feeding us stuff on PlayStation Plus Premium. But I have seen people saying, okay, if all three of these games, Freedom Wars Remastered, Hot Shots Golf, Patapon, if those can all be licensed, if those can be revived, if those can be brought back, maybe they can bring back Bloodborne. Bloodborne is also technically under the Japan Studio IP. Now, thus far, this very much seems like a big pivot from what PlayStation has typically been up to. By far, the company, the studio that people have talked about the most as sort of the canary of the coal mine when it felt like PlayStation kind of pivoted tactics is Japan Studio. There used to be a group of people specifically inside of PlayStation that's job it was to make lower budget, incredibly good classics. Knack, Ape Escape, Gravity Rush, Puppeteer, obviously The Last Guardian, Loco Roco. These are all games that, even if they're not winning a ton of awards, even if they're not the biggest, craziest thing ever, they're good games. They're incredibly good games that are creative and different, and I feel like different is the important thing. So many people make memes about the fact that everything from PlayStation is an over-the-shoulder narrative heavy experience. They don't do a lot of shooters. They don't do a lot of online stuff. It's just this, right? Well, I guess current PlayStation's very obsessed with live service, but Shuhei Yoshida recently left PlayStation, and now he's allowed to talk about whatever he wants. He's been making jokes about how he's legally allowed, because he's not tied up with PlayStation. He's allowed to talk about how excited he is for the Nintendo Switch 2. But he says that a major reason he left is because he felt weird about the fact that they were shutting studios down. Shuhei Yoshida says that Japan's studio was shut down because PlayStation does not want AA games. They only want AAA. But here is the main reason I want to talk about this. I think that, in a way, PlayStation has perhaps, and I'm being very optimistic here, they've perhaps found a way to have the best of both worlds, where they can focus their budget, their time, their marketing on the big AAA stuff that's going to make, hopefully, billions of dollars and sell PlayStations. But at the same time, they're going to make it so they can license their older games. They can basically say, all right, other people, you're allowed to remaster this, to do whatever you want. We want a big cut. Like this. People are basically being like, okay, Sony has now officially started licensing out their dormant intellectual property to third parties. We've seen this now in 2023 with the Fantavision remake. We've seen this year with the Freeamore's remaster, Patapon, and Everybody's Golf. These all being brought by Bandai Namco. It seems like we could be getting other remasters as well. Games that maybe deserve to come back, like Gravity Rush or Tokyo Jungle. Games that are not just incredibly good, but in a lot of ways, I feel like they would sell 10 times better. Gravity Rush and Tokyo Jungle are very, very famous games because they were so overlooked. Gravity Rush is like a time tilty game. You can basically attack by controlling gravity. You turn gravity to hit people. You turn gravity to run up walls and solve puzzles and stuff. Incredibly good games. They're extremely, extremely unique. And at the time, they admitted that even for how tiny the budgets were, they sold almost 0 copies. And PlayStation was disappointed because they couldn't tell it was good. People that played it could tell it was good. And the same for Tokyo Jungle. That was like a open world roguelike that was incredibly difficult at the time, but now people kind of appreciate good difficulty, and roguelikes are now more popular than ever. I think that PlayStation perhaps has started to think about how they handled Spider-Man when it comes to the Sony movies. Now, keep in mind, Sony technically owns the infinite rights to Spider-Man. They can make whatever they want, anytime they want, as long as it's a movie, right? But the Spider-Man movies were never as big and popular as they wanted, which is why they eventually lent Spider-Man to the Marvel movies. That's why you didn't see Spider-Man for a very long time until, phase 3? I have no idea how the Marvel movie works anymore. But that's when they started to basically say, okay, you can put Spider-Man in movies, you can have Tom Holland swing around and make this new era of Spidey with No Way Home and A Long Way Home and all that, but we want 10%. We want 10% off the top of all your box office. So basically, Sony found a way to make hundreds of millions of dollars for very minimal work. I think they're trying to replicate that in the gaming business of, okay, we have this back catalog that everybody still wants, but we just don't want to focus our efforts, our time, our development, our marketing on these games. What if we license it out to studios that we know are good, that know what the hell they're doing, that know how to put something out? And the reason I'm excited about this is because not only does Bandai Namco rock, I think I like the idea that if these games sell good, the studios are now on their own incentivized to make their own sequels. A Patapon 4, another Hot Shots Golf is coming out. That's extremely cool. What about a Gravity Rush 3? We already know they're doing a Gravity Rush movie. What happens if we get another re-release of Gravity Rush 1 and 2, and then those sell great because of the movie, and then we get a Gravity Rush 3. We're never really going to get back to the magic we had with, the amazingness of Japan Studio, but if some of that magic can live on, another Ape Escape, more crazy weirdness like Knack, I feel like that is what I miss most, is the quirky uniqueness. where it's a great series, it's weirdness, but also it just feels unlike anything else. I miss that era of PlayStation. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about it? And are you as optimistic as I am? Or does this just seem like PlayStation basically doing the bare minimum to get some free cash? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. If they give us another Gravity Rush, I love Loco Roco. I love Gravity Rush. I love Ape Escape. I want more than remasters. I want sequels. I'll be happy with these games coming back and like, I don't know, getting something new, but I want new stuff, man. A Gravity Rush 3. Oh, man. Oh. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.